What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 7 of the Fantasy Football Clowns podcast. I'm your host, Meej, once again joined by Roxx Lewis. Now, Roxx, what kind of information are we breaking down today?
Well, Meej, it's been a wild and entertaining last 24 hours of football, extensions, trades, injuries, and more, and I can't wait to talk to you about it today.
All right, and I say we jump right in and talk about the extension of star safety Harrison Smith. Now, Roxx, what are your immediate thoughts upon hearing this?
Well, Meej, my immediate reaction to this news is Harrison Smith got a bag. 4 years, $64 million. A good job by the Vikings for retaining their star safety. Look, over the past few years, Harrison Smith has been the cornerstone of this defense. He has been to Pro Bowls. He's been an All-Pro. Good job by the Vikings, and good for him, man.
Exactly, and you got to think there's not many safeties in the game built like him. And staying in the area of the Vikings, we have a major injury. The Vikings tight end, Irv Smith Jr., is going to miss at least the beginning of the season after getting surgery on his meniscus, and this is just terrible. I mean, the Vikings put all their cards on the table. They let Kyle Rudolph walk to the Giants, and the immediate thought was Irv Smith Jr. is going to see Kyle Rudolph's red zone targets, and we were all excited to see how that was going to pan out. But unfortunately, it looks like Irv Smith Jr.'s breakout season is going to be put on hold. Roxx, do you have anything else to add on to this?
Well, yeah, it just sucks for the Vikings and their fans. They put all their confidence into Irv Smith Jr., and as you said, they let Kyle Rudolph walk to the Giants. I mean, it doesn't really get much worse than this. Sucks for Vikings fans, man.
Yeah, and moving on from that, we have another injury roaming around, and the details have been released. It's J.K. Dobbins, and he's unfortunately going to most likely miss the entire season with his torn ACL. Roxx, how do you feel about Gus Edwards and the Ravens' backfield as a whole now entering this season?
Well, yeah, I mean, this just sucks for J.K. Dobbins, first of all. Such a young, talented running back in this league, and so crucial because he could catch out of the backfield, which is big for the NFL and in PPR leagues if you want to talk fantasy. But when I see Lamar Jackson and Gus Edwards stock, it's raised through the roof right now. Listen, when I'm looking at drafts, I think Lamar Jackson is a top 3 quarterback off this board behind Allen and Mahomes. Rushing yards, he could pass it, and he's gonna run the ball, I think, a lot more now that J.K. Dobbins isn't there. But when you're talking about Gus Edwards, he's been one of the more effective running backs in the league these past few years, and under-the-radar type of guy. So his stock is huge. Sucks for J.K. Dobbins, sucks for Ravens fans. But hey, an opportunity that Gus Edwards can't resist right now.
Exactly, and I've always thought that Gus Edwards had some standalone value before this injury. Now I think his stock is through the roof, like you said. And don't forget that during the offseason, Todd Gurley did have a visit with the Ravens, and he left without a contract. Maybe they call him up again and work something out. We'll have to monitor that in the upcoming days. Moving on. The Texans and Jets had a trade in which Shaq Lawson went to the Jets for a 6th-round pick. Now, Roxx, what is your immediate thoughts on this trade?
Meej, my immediate reaction to this news is that I love what the Jets are doing for a couple reasons. Look, the Jets want to win, but they're not going to sacrifice everything to do it. They're bringing a guy like Shaq Lawson, a veteran and experienced edge rusher, to fill the void of Carl Lawson. They're replacing a Lawson with a Lawson. They're replacing Carl Lawson, who was supposed to be their big money guy and that big free agent this offseason, to really help and elevate this Jets defense. Look, I love the move by Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas. It shows the Jets want to win, and they're going to want to develop their players at the same time. They're trying to build a winning culture, and that's what's important in football.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. Good move by the Jets to answer that quickly. And moving on, it seems as though the injury plague has made a return, and it is surfacing in Indianapolis. Now, there have been some key injuries already involving Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson, who somehow had the same injury. That's kind of crazy. But, Roxx, what I'm going to ask you to do is inform us of these new injuries that have surfaced today.
Yeah, I mean, we see 3 new injuries today. to left tackle Sam Tevy. So now their whole left side of the line is questionable and most likely out for week 1, which is not good for the Indianapolis Colts. Also, veteran wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, who took a step back in 2020, is now injured and questionable to return for the year. So he may be out for the season, which just is devastating for him. And now we also see Sam Ellinger, who could start week 1. Now he's sidelined. So just horrible news for the Colts and their fans, man.
Exactly. And if I'm a Colts fan, I'm wincing in pain as I hear this. And, you know, you got to think about, from a fantasy perspective, how is this going to affect Michael Pittman Jr.? How's this going to affect Jonathan Taylor? I think we're going to have to see how everything plays out by week 1. But it is kind of crazy to see all these injuries surfacing at once. And moving on to one more thing involving a QB battle, which we didn't talk about yesterday, is Gardner Minshew traded to the Eagles. Now, Roxx, what do you think this could mean?
Well, it means two things from both teams. Team number 1, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Urban Meyer was playing a trick on everybody in the league all offseason. He was trying to make us think that there was a QB battle, but all along he really knew their number 1 pick, Trevor Lawrence, was going to start. And for the Eagles, it shows they're uncertain about Jalen Hurts, I think. I mean, it's not that much. They only get a 6th-round pick, which is, in reality, a back-end starter in the future. So who really cares about that? But are they certain that they want Jalen Hurts to be their starting quarterback? Look, they gave up Carson Wentz this past offseason, and I guess they're moving forward with Jalen Hurts, but uncertainty is not good for a franchise that is coming off a 4-win season.
Yeah, and you have to think maybe they just want Jalen Hurts to not get too comfortable. Maybe they want to make sure he's working hard every day and just doing what needs to be done. Now, might I add, today in the Jacksonville Jaguars preseason game that Trevor Lawrence and Laviska Shenault balled out, and it seems as though it has reassured the fan base and they are happy with Trevor Lawrence and company. But that's pretty much going to do it for today's episode. We thank you all for tuning in. We hope that this helped in some way, shape, or form. Once again, I'd like to extend my gratitude to Roxx Lewis for joining me on today's episode.
Thank you, Meej, for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, and if you like what you heard, feel free to leave a like or comment on what you want to hear next, and consider subscribing. Thanks again, guys, and see you next time.